has the bigger pocketbook. And as it stands now, the bill that the Democrats are putting through the House, it's already been said by Leader McConnell that it's dead on arrival. So it's a sense of posturing now. And the big problem with the federal government, it's a showdown year, it's an election year. So the tact is going to be, it's not going to really be what can help the people. It's going to be what sides can help the people that want to be elected get elected. The compromise is pretty much dead at the federal government at this point. I do believe that both the Democrats and the Republicans can come together a little bit on sending money to states and local government, but there's going to have to be a lot of give and take. And once again, when things are out of your hand, you just have to wait, and I think that's all we can do right now. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. We'll go back to, we'll go back to each of the sections of the budget. If you would like to hold that section, please let me know. So the first one was the executive section, which covered the budgets for selectmen, town administrator, town council, moderator, and town report.
Hold, please.
Finance and technology.
Hold.
Okay. General government. Assessor, treasurer, collector, debt service, town clerk, elections, registrar of voters, codification. Community development. Covers community development, conservation commission, planning board, zoning board, historical commission, and agricultural commission. Inspection services, which covers inspection services, weights, measures, inspector. I will be holding this one. Public health covers Board of Health. I will be holding that one. Public safety, police department, animal control officer, parking management, emergency management, forest warden. Public service, Council on Aging, Veteran Services, Memorial Day Remembrances, Library. Public buildings, Police Station, Registry of Deeds, Town Hall, Public Buildings / Property Maintenance, Community Center, Adams Memorial Building, Visitor Center. Public Works.
Hold.
Okay. And lastly, regional schools. Hoosick Valley Regional School District. I'll take them separately. Hoosick Valley Regional School District. And the second one would be Northern Berkshire Vocational Regional School District. So I didn't hear any holds on those. So let me just restate. John has asked to hold the section of the budget that falls under executive, correct? Joe has asked to hold finance and technology. I have asked to hold inspection services and public health. And Joe has asked to hold public works. Is that correct? Okay. Which, then if we can, I'll take a motion to approve the areas that were not held.
So moved.
So Rick has made a motion to approve those. Do I have
Second.
a second by Jim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. Okay. So we will go back to the section under executive, and I will turn it to John.
Madam Chairman, just very briefly, the selectmen receive $1,200 a year as a stipend. The chairman receives $2,000 as a stipend. I would like to request that the $1,000 from the selectmen in my position, I'd like to not get paid for this position, so I'd like to give back $1,000. I don't know if you can do that regarding the charter. And also, May 1st is May is when I'm up for reelection, so it wouldn't be the $1,200. It would just be for the fiscal year, it would just be $1,000. So I'd like to request that be removed from that and put in wherever it goes, free cash or offset something else a lot. I'd rather not get paid for this position. And I believe selectmen should get paid more than we do now because it's difficult to get selectmen to run for these positions. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of mileage, it's a lot of meetings. This is just a personal position that I'm taking for my own personal reasons, but selectmen, in my opinion, should get paid more than what's here budgeted. In other communities, they do get paid more for stipends, but I would just want to have mine removed.
So I think we'd have to look and see if we can do that. I don't know what the dollar amount would be, because if you were, it would be, I guess, less, well, I guess it would be less than $200. I guess you did do that math. Sorry. You did know the election date. I now am processing that. It's after 9. My brain is a little mush, so I apologize. Jay, will you look into seeing if that is something that we can do?
Yes.
That's it, Madam Chairman.
Okay. I'm just trying to
I
figure
think,
that.
do we need a motion?
We would need a motion to approve.
I think you need a motion to make the modification, and then you need to make a motion to approve the section as modified. I think that's how it has to be done.
Okay.
So I'll make, sorry.
John can make
Yes,
that motion. Yeah, so
yeah.
John should make that motion.
I'll make a motion under personal services detail, under the selectmen part of the budget, that the selectmen that get paid $1,200 a year, one of those selectmen line items be reduced to $1,000. I'm sorry,
Reduced to
$200. You did the
Yep.
math, $200.
Yep. So I have a motion by John. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Jim. Any discussion?
Is
Go ahead, Rick.
council still on the phone?
Council is on the phone. I can, legal counsel, I've just unmuted you.
Okay, go ahead.
There, we are looking at the section of the budget that involves the stipends for the Board of Selectmen. We have a member of the board that would like to reduce one of the lines of that budget. It would be the one that affects, him. But reducing that to, just $200.
Yep, I heard that.
And so the question from Member Blanchard is whether or not that can be done.
Yes, that can be done.
Okay.
Have a motion to that effect, and it's been seconded.
Yep, so the motion was to modify that line of that section of the budget with a reduction to $200.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions in discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Thank you, John. So, anything else in that section of the budget?
All set, thank you.
Okay. Then can I get a motion to approve the section of the budget that falls under executive with the modification?
So moved.
I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. All right, thank you. So Joe, you held finance and technology.
Yeah, under the line item, employee and retirement benefits, if I heard correctly, we have lost $8 million in our pension plan from our portfolio of stocks. And I was just wondering, I've never owned stocks, I've never had enough money to do so, but when you own stocks, do you have a portfolio manager, or is it just the town that, takes care of it? Because by losing $800 million, $8 million, it seems to me that somebody wasn't looking at the stocks as they were moving along, and then all of a sudden, we're down $8 million, and then we decide to put it in a kind of safer environment. I don't know anything about it, and then Mary said, oh, don't worry about it, it will come back. I'm not as confident that $8 million is gonna come back as fast as you think. So what does that do to our pension plan for our employees?
That's a retirement council
Okay,
question.
all
Joe,
right.
And Mary can answer that
Okay.
question for you.
All right,
So
thank you.
it's not a town budget issue. I can tell you that I'm not entirely well-versed with that, because like you, I don't have enough money really to do that. But all the time, it's like this, all the time, with stocks. But that's part of a pension fund setup, but Mary can give you those details.
Well, that's really part of the town, people that are receiving pensions from the town of Adams, we're town employees, so I just think that 8 million to go down that quick, maybe, I'm sure other people have lost out, but that's a lot of money lost, and I'm not as confident as Mary said that, oh, don't worry about it. I know they go ebb and tide stocks, that's quite obvious, but I don't know, that's all I had. I just hope that, that with more people retiring, I hope people are not all of a sudden gonna say, well, we gotta lower your pension because we don't have the, money to pay you what we promised you. And that's all I have. That just kind of was something that took me aback.
Yep, and something that the retirement board would have to address
Yeah.
at some point to answer that question. Anything else under the finance and technology section? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve that section.
So moved.
I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The next two, I held due to a conflict of interest that I have with my husband serving as the chair of the Board of Health. The stipends for the Board of Health fall under inspection services, and the Board of Health's budget falls under public health. So I will be abstaining from those two sections of the budget, but if there are no other questions or comments, you could actually group those and make a motion for those two sections.
I'll make a motion to approve the inspection services and public health lines.
Okay. I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And one abstention, and that would be Christine Hoyt abstaining for the minute.
Excuse me.
And that leaves us with Public Works. So
Yeah,
Joe, go ahead.
Once again, I'm just going to go to the song I've been singing a long time about salt use. We spent our allotment for salt, and I had gone online and looked at the state of Massachusetts salt use, and a lot of the communities were happy because there wasn't as much snow, and their use of salt saved them quite a bit of money on the budget. Once again, public safety is a key issue for us, but once again, I'm going to say we've got to find a better way to curtail the use of road salts, not just budget-wise, but environmentally, and that's all I have to say.
Okay. Anything else under Public Works? All right, hearing none, can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Jim to approve the Public Works section of the budget. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Any further discussion?
I was waiting for you to say, you approve the, public works.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving the Public Works budget?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No abstentions, okay. So we will move the fiscal 2021 budget onto the Finance Committee. I do know that Finance Committee Chair Tim Burdick is, I believe, watching at home and sending me messages as we've been going along. So he is going to be scheduling that meeting, and I believe it's for next week. I think they were targeting next Thursday for the Finance Committee to be meeting.
Madam Chair, point of order, I believe we have to vote on the bottom line of the school budgets. We have to vote on the operational, our foundation budget, and we have to vote on the transportation part.
We did. No one held them.
Nobody hold it.
Okay, I always thought they were separate motions. They are separate warrant articles, but maybe we can vote
Okay.
that. Or we can just vote that as warrant articles when we do that.
I think we do them as warrant articles.
Okay,
That's
that's
fine.
fine. Thank you.
But yeah. Okay. All right. Where are we? Oh, department reports. Jay, aside from budget, COVID-19, and everything else, that you've talked about this evening, is there anything else you would like to update us on?
I've used this term before, but I think it's true. I just want to remind everybody that despite the rocky economic forecast coming up, and despite us having to use a buzzword lately, pivot, et cetera, and make some changes, as a community, we're stable and we're steady. We just have to pay attention to the ship and keep it upright, and we'll be okay. So it's just important to take each day, one day at a time, each issue one day at a time, think it through, and go forward from there. But we're doing okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions for Jay? All right. Then I will turn it over to Town Council. Town Council has provided us a written report this evening, which should be at your table. And Town Council, I have unmuted you, so, sorry.
All right, thank you. I continued working on a litigation matter, and I would like to meet with the board in executive session in the next week or two to discuss that matter further.
Okay,
I also responded to several requests concerning conflict of interest issues. I completed research into the procedures needed to revise the town charter. I researched and provided information concerning a proposed bylaw, and I attended today's Board of Health meeting and participated in that meeting. Thank you.
any questions for Town Council?
Yeah, I do, Madam Chairman. Sorry to
No, that's okay.
interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Ed, this is John Duvall. I'm not sure if you heard the conversation that I was having with our town administrator in regards to what is the trigger point for us to go back to town meeting, to have another town meeting to vote a budget, and he gave a good explanation for it. I'm just looking for clarification legally for, and maybe you don't have it this evening, but what is that trigger point that we have to go back again with a new budget? Because from year to year, our budgets do fluctuate. We don't receive the revenues some years that we expected. We don't go back. Other years we caught because of, we had a dump truck didn't run or something. We had to fix it or get a new one. There's always, we approve a budget, town meeting approves a budget, but there's always changes throughout the year. So if the budget is not going up, what is a trigger point for us to go back under the situation we're in to have another budget reviewed and approved by the town meeting?
All right, well, I have your question written down, John. I want to do some research on it, and I'll get back to you with that, with the results of that.
That sounds good. Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Town Council? All right. Hearing none, thank you very much, Ed, for sticking on the line and answering a couple questions here and there tonight.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll go ahead and mute you again.
All righty.
Although your house is quiet, so you could stay unmuted if you wanted. It's not like my house with a barking dog. All right, that brings us to subcommittee and liaison reports. John, I'm going to start with you because that's where the camera's pointed.
We have a full commission meeting tomorrow evening for the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. Definitely going to be asking questions or listening in on what Donna has brought forward, the COVID-19 funding opportunities. So definitely interesting points to be discussed and what their role is going to be. And then the last thing is we have a MPO meeting next Tuesday, and then I could come back to the board with more definitive information in regards to the Route 8 project question. Last that we met, the funding was all approved. We are ready to go out to bid, and I'll see where that is.
Thank you, John. Jim, under subcommittee and liaison.
Yeah, we've had a number of Northern Berkshire Solid Waste meetings over the past month to discuss our upcoming contract. And as everybody heard tonight, we will be meeting with Solid Waste tomorrow to discuss a preliminary contract. Banners for fallen heroes are moving along nicely. Hopefully, next week, we're gonna have a meeting, get everything together and send it off to the printers to have the banners printed out. That's all I have.
Okay, that's a good list. Thanks, Jim. Rick?
I have nothing.
Okay. Joe?
Nothing here.
Okay. Announcements and go to the order since we're down that way. Joe?
Okay, I have a few things. Jay, I was wondering, just the other day, I saw a railroad track safety vehicle on the tracks near the scenic railway spur of it. Who's paying for that?
Mass DOT.
Mass DOT will do that even on, okay, so thank you. And I saw that we received through the Cultural Council $40,000 for the railroad upgrade. I was just wondering, why was it under Lennox? And then the money went to Adams,
It just indicates the headquarters of the organization that applied.
okay?
So if you remember back, it must have been, was it fall when the lease was signed with Berkshire Scenic for the station? Tom Delasco, the president from the museum, was here. That triggered Berkshire Scenic to have the authority to file the grant for a town-owned building. So they're the grant holders, and it's a matching grant.
Okay.
However, that program, unfortunately, I don't think has its funding yet.
Okay,
So that's another victim of COVID-19, we'll see. But it's for the completion of the Adams Station building.
yeah,
or
and I
portion.
saw that there's a lot of people buzzing around and doing work in there. Are we still using the money from the grant that we received for the platform? So there was enough money left over to keep that going?
Yes, the people you see buzzing around is still Roger Rice, our contractor. He's finishing up the bathrooms, putting in the
Yeah.
tile.
Okay, and what's going on Summer Street? I see the gas company there. I see, are they putting in a new gas line or?
Yep, the police chief has asked me to read a statement this evening about that, so I can do that right now. So the police chief has sent this statement over. It says, starting Thursday, May 21st, workers will begin the installation of a new gas main along the southern section of Summer Street. It will run from the Cherry Street area to the intersection of Center Street. This project will consist of replacing the existing gas main and the service lines leading to residences that are gas customers. The project is expected to go well into the summer months. During this time, expect delays and redirected routes of travel. The intent is to conduct the process with the least amount of inconvenience to vehicle and pedestrian traffic. It has been put out by the Adams Police Department on social media. I believe it was asked that the town put it out on our social media page as well. And the chief asked me to send it to the BRTA for any travel inconveniences that might occur because of that. But that was announced today.
Okay, thank you, and I brought this up to you, Jay, the last, I can't even remember when the meeting was, about the area where we had a building demolished, Burnett's old shoe place. I don't know, you weren't here there, but it's town property, and I have a gentleman that lives across the street. He's continued to hound me because he has
That corner, winter and summer?
yeah.
I did. I asked DPW to go over and pick up the lot. There was a lot of litter and garbage through
Yeah,
there.
and it hasn't been mowed, and a lot of it, I think that, the people on Winter Street also have to be attuned that they should take care of their property. I know they're all renters and things, but, on a road right next to the housing units, it's really a mess. And it's bad when you're walking around town and you look down there and see that, but that's something I don't know how you make a resolution to it other than, they should be, there's a dumpster right there, but, there's a lot of kids that live there, you know how kids are, but, so, and another thing I saw, was today about Bascom Lodge. You know, they're not gonna be able to open, and, you know, they were asking for, you know, help by people donating money, but I was wondering, since it's in Adams, if you'd be kind enough to call somebody from DCR, I mean, it's a state-owned business, to see if there could be any financial help. I mean, that's the premier spot in the whole state as far as, you know, Bascom Lodge, and if it gets to the point where they're looking for money for people to, you know, donate, that's not good. So could you just, you know, ask around about that?
Sure.
Because they've done a great job up there, the Dudek brothers that run it, and it's been a real success with people going up there and having meals and things. And thank you for getting back to me on that question that I forgot to ask about all the police cars while their officers are away from them, they're just left idling.
Yep.
And I like the response that Chief Tarsa gave. He didn't mince his words.
No, he didn't.
And so I think that that's really important, because that's a waste of gas. It's also a lot of pollutants going into the air for no reason. So thank you, Chief, if you're watching, for the response, and thank you for being not candid about it. You told it like it was. And lastly, this is for you, Jay. I was wondering, you've been doing it sporadically, and it's been helpful to me, if at the end of the week, if anything comes up that, you know, just right, like this week, you know, something happened, or, you know, Summer Street's gonna start, just kind of a recap. You've done it, but it's been sporadic. So if you could, you know, just you know, put out, it doesn't have to be wordy, just things that you think that myself and others as selectmen should know.
Sure.
Okay, I appreciate it, and long-winded, that's all I have.
That was the before times.
BT, or BC.
Before COVID, you were doing that.
I called it my Friday afternoon summation.
Yep.
I don't even know what Friday is anymore.
What day is it? Rick, anything?
I'll be a polar opposite. I have nothing.
Okay, Jim?
I have nothing.
Okay, John?
Madam Chair, as you have mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, that support our first responders. That's very close to home to me. As we come out of this crisis, hopefully people will start to think about what really matters, how important life is, and maybe that social media sideshow will end. Probably not. But I just wanted to mention that for those of us in the arena, as they call it, including our town administrator, I think he's done a fantastic job. And working through this emergency, it was thrown upon him, as with others throughout the state, out of nowhere, and we've all had to adjust, and it's a crazy thing. But I want to thank Town Administrator Jay Green for all his work and keeping government moving forward, staying positive, and keeping the board informed with all the information we need. And so again, thank you for all your efforts in the last few months.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead,
I
Jim.
forgot. I just wanted to thank Marilyn, Mary, Scracky, and Kyle for putting the
Ray.
flowers out today.
Ray was here earlier, but he had to
Ray
go
was
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a great job, you know. In this time, we need something to brighten this town up a little bit.
You know, just to show everybody how COVID affects everything. Last year when I was here, I didn't know that was normally a process where we got together and went out and planted flowers. So when it came time to plant the mums, I went out with everybody and did it last fall. This year, I wanted to encourage everybody from Town Hall and the other buildings to get together and kind of blitz downtown and do it. And I was gonna buy the staff lunch in order to do that. However, between the numerous conference calls that I've had to be on and the fact that we just can't assemble anymore and get together and have a lunch, we couldn't do it. So this affects not only very high-level functions, but it also affects very basic human interaction. And it's the longer this goes on and the more I sit back and think it through, it permeates almost every aspect of life. So, yes, thank you to them. We're able to keep up with things such as just beautification of our downtown, and that's what we intend to do, is provide a level of normalcy as best we can in times of uncertainty. And if that's the base function we can do as a government, then so be it.
I also wanted to thank the staff for putting out the congratulatory signs for Hoosick Valley, McCann, and Bart that went out today. So it was nice to drive into Town Hall today and see those as well for our class of 2020 graduates. I don't have anything else for announcements and good of the order. We do have an executive session in front of us this evening. So I do need a motion to go into an executive session, and just as a point of order, we would only be coming out of executive session to conduct business, to just adjourn this meeting. So there are two reasons number 2 and number 3. So if somebody wants to read those. then
I'll make a motion we enter executive session for purpose number 2 to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with nomination personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And also for purpose number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the body, and the chair so declares.
Okay, I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. It is a roll call vote. Joe?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And it's a yes from Christine, so that is unanimous. So we will go into executive session.